Happy Feature
Podcast.
Nolo Legal Marriage. You meet this perfect person, beautiful inside and outside, and decide to get together and start a family. You get married, the baby's on the way, you're working hard, and everything's going great. All of a sudden, your partner wants a divorce. You're here with Cosmo, also known as Cosmosis, on the Happy Future Podcast. Today we're discussing Nolo Legal Marriage. Nolo, legal and marriage. So we're talking about Nolo as in Latin for I do not want legal marriage. And so why wouldn't someone want legal marriage? Well, what is marriage? First, let's ask. We know we don't want legal marriage, but why wouldn't we want legal marriage? What would be the point of not having a legal marriage? Well, in the United States currently, I would say about 50% of marriages end up in separation or divorce. And this is very similar to the UK, where it's around 42%. And the marriage is supposed to be a beautiful concept, but if you actually look at it, it's actually, there's a nasty side to it. And that's when they're going through divorces ending. And mostly it's one of the primary reasons for divorce is infidelity, and monetary reasons, I would say, is probably the top reason that people would, they don't want to admit. Aside from people having divorced for monetary reasons, one of the reasons they do get married is for a form of having that money, in their life. Let's kind of break down marriage so we can understand. Say you have two people, young people. They're in a high school, they meet each other, everything's great, or they meet in a college, and they decide, okay, let's get married. For one, who decided they wanted to get married? Was it, a woman, a man? Say we have a same-sex couple. Someone's deciding that they want to get married. First, there's always one person probably that's more inclined to get married. What are their reasons for getting married? One of the reasons someone would want to get married would be how it looks, the outlook of it from a societal aspect. How do people view me? So why would they want people to view them as married? One of the reasons they want people to view them as married is because there are inherent benefits to being married. People view you in a favorable light because, there's a wider concept of us, being, I would say, we're on a low level. In order to reach the higher level, we have to abide by certain societal constraints. But where do these actual constraints come from? It comes from elite society. Back in the days, we had monarchs, so we had kings, queens, bishops, and things that were kind of made by your level in society, which were attached to your status from a monetary standpoint. The more money you had, the higher up you were. The ideal of a king and queen, and you can get to certain levels through marriage. Like back in the days, if you married someone who was in a high status, you would rise up to that status. So that's one of the reasons why someone in a relationship would want to get married, because they view getting married as rising up in status. It might be a big part of that could be detached from reality, but part of it is a current reality. But what's another reason a partner would want to get married? Another reason a partner would want to get married, aside from, that elite status, is another part of it is completeness, love, finding that special someone and creating a life together. So you have these ideals that are based on money, and I would say family, which are important. They're very important. And there's other reasons people get married, of course. but primarily family and money. Now, everything's great. You get married for those reasons, money and family. But the problem is it based in reality? And this is where Nolo Legal Marriage comes in. People get divorced, and we have primarily women in the UK and the United States. They're the ones that are initiating divorce. About 70% in the United States, uh, the women initiate divorce. There's reasons for this, including there's a lot of feminism today, especially radical feminism. There are a lot of movements that kind of push going against the patriarchy. In the UK and the US, and it kind of, I would say, detach women from family life. That's the overview of it. Women are saying, okay, well, we're going against this patriarchal society. Basically, we want power. We want to change the society in favor of women. Maybe make it into a matriarchy, and this can be debated. But for the most part, this kind of pulls them away from the family life. So, so that kind of gets to the point where people are getting married for monetary reasons. If a lot of, say, women, a lot of women, or there's a lot of a shift against patriarchy, that means people are not necessarily getting married so much for family reasons. It's more for political aspirations and for monetary reasons. And this is all good and well when you're getting married, but we're talking about divorce. You know, it gets to the point where divorce is nasty. I'm talking about alimony, spousal support, child support payments ranging over $400 per child. This is crazy. And we're not even to the point where we're even talking about the cost of a wedding. You know, part of that elite status back in the days was having a lavish wedding. The average cost of a wedding in the U.S. it's around $33,000, and most people make around 28,000. This is including men and women. If we're just talking about men, it's around 40 to 45,000 U.S. dollars. In the U.K., it's around people make around 16,000 pounds. So this, I mean, it almost costs a year's salary for a wedding. These practices, these cultural practices, are kind of backwards against reality. People are getting married and they're having weddings that cost more than a yearly salary. And there's been cases of people having divorces within 72 hours. This can be horrible if considering you're a man, if you think it from a man's perspective. Because, if you're a king and your woman's a queen, in most instances, same heterosexual couples are getting married. So different sex couples are getting married. So if you're a man and you're trying to play into this elite kind of role in society, and okay, I'm a king, I need to marry a queen. More than likely, you're footing the bill for that wedding. So you're paying almost a year's salary for a woman that can divorce you in 72 hours or less. And then you got to go through a nasty divorce where the government doesn't really care about proceedings as much. They just want to make it as easy as government's about order. This is a misnomer. Government is not about fairness. It's about order. So if you go to a government office or you go in front of a judge to deliberate over your divorce proceedings, they're going to do whatever's easy. They're going to say, okay, the woman gets the children. If there's an accusation, especially in today's climate, it's going to be against the man. Divorce has become a travesty, and it's making marriage, making marriage fickle and useless. It's pointless at this point. If it's not emphasizing, generational wealth. Back in the days, it was about generational wealth. It becomes a problem. So let's get on about Nolo Legal Marriage. Nolo Legal Marriage is needed because it will give an option so you can marry without needing to go through, all these restrictions and all these adherents for legal marriage. For example, you wouldn't need to share your incomes. For example, you can still file taxes as a shared couple, but you wouldn't, like, okay, when you're working and you get, say you're married and you get paid, they don't pay your wife and you, or they don't pay your husband and yourself, or your same sex partner that money. They only pay it to you. So just because you're married doesn't mean that your finances are linked. If you don't have a joint account, you have separate finances. Once you're separated, it doesn't make sense to have all this complication. So Nolo Legal Marriage would allow you to be on a list. And you being on this list would just have your name and, whatever province, state you're in, and it will keep a record of your marriage. But it's not legally binding upon divorce. And having such a Nolo Legal Marriage option is saying you don't want this legal marriage. It's mostly for in cases of separation. You don't have to go through all this unnecessary, who's getting the house, no, you keep your finances separate and joint when you want them. In case of separation, a court can say, okay, you have this joint account. Who contribute to the account? If it's joint, we can split that up. You have separate accounts. You keep your money. You come in what you have. You leave what you accumulated on your own. In case of children, for example, say you have children and you have Nolo Legal Marriage. You're on this list. You have children. You're going through a divorce. In order to get that divorce, you just say remove us from legal marriage. If you have children, you make your case. You can still go to divorce court. You make your case to keep the kids. If you choose to keep the kids, you have to pay for them. You got to take care of them. That's simple. If someone has infidelity, it doesn't matter. The court say, okay, well, you have infidelity. You make your case. They were unfaithful. I want to take the children. Okay, fine. He or she doesn't have to pay spousal support or child support. You take care of the kids. If you're not able to sustain your own life or sustain the kid's life, it's not that other person's responsibility. Let's think of it in case of no one does anything wrong and you want to get divorced. You pay your hopefully small fee because, we don't want Nolo Legal Marriage to be expensive. It could be $20 just to put you on record. And, people can look up in this registry, see that you're married. So it's a public registry. So say no one does any infractions to make them a proverbial bad person, and you want to get divorced. Fine. It's quick divorce. When they're splitting up, they say, okay, you have 2 kids. We got to split up the kids. We don't want to split up the kids, but we say, okay, we can decide who wants to take the kids. You can get joint custody. If you have joint custody, you both can pay into a trust to take care of the kids, and that money can be used for the kids if you want to do it like that. Or the person who wants sole custody can take care of the kids. But the whole point of no legal marriage is to take the nasty legal separation out of marriage. If people are marrying for love and family reasons, and they're marrying to make their life better, then you getting married should be for the right reasons, and you getting divorced should be simple. Nolo Legal Marriage, good or bad? What do you think? You're having fun? Ha 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 ha.
Happy Future Podcast.